people, the biggest crossover boxing match that we've been waiting for quite some time has finally been announced on the Prime card. You already know it is the Deen the Great versus Walid Shark's rematch. Now, while we've been waiting for this fight quite some time, a lot has happened since the first one. So let's go ahead and break down what the first fight looked like, what's happened since, and who I personally think has an edge as of right now, about a month out from the fight. Let's get into it. Starting off, we have to talk about the first fight. If you don't remember it, this fight has gone down as one of the biggest and best fights in all of crossover boxing history. This fight had some of the biggest highlight moments in all of the matches we've seen in Misfits thus far. So let's go ahead and dive back into the first fight, find out where Deen had some success, where Walid had some success, and of course, let's relive that final result. All right, as far as the first fight goes, it starts strong. Both have their advantages in the fight early on, but one thing is for sure, Walid had insane speed. His shots were landing before Deen's could, and he was finding his mark at the right time towards the end of the first round. Walid's speed actually led to him getting what we thought was a knockdown, or what most people thought was a knockdown, but was actually a slip called by the ref in the ring right at the end of the first round. That slip was caused by a right hand, which is why me, as well as anybody else that's watching this clip right now, knows that it was a knockdown. Now on to the second round. This is where the action really started to pick up. The first official knockdown of the fight takes place here in the second round with 52 seconds left in the round. This is when Walid hits him with a left hook that sends Deen to the canvas. Now, one thing's for sure, Walid was able to find the timing on that left hook pretty early in the fight, so if Deen's going to have a chance at coming at Walid head on in this rematch, he's going to need to make sure his defense is a little stronger, especially in the early rounds. Of course, Deen does get back up a little shaken, and in my opinion, a little extra time from the ref helps Deen get back into this one. Once he gets back in the fight though, it's not too much longer until a second knockdown occurs as Walid hits him with a right hand with less than 10 seconds left in the round. This knockdown for sure came at the right time because of course, no matter what, the round was going to end at the end of the count. So that's going to give Deen some time to recover, get into the third round, and hopefully come back. As we all know now, he did. Now, of course, we got to talk about the third round and, of course, where Deen pulls away with it. Big shots landed from both guys here in the third round. A lot of success from Walid coming from his speed, but I think at this point in the fight, he started to get a little too comfortable. Walid was letting himself get hit with shots that he wasn't necessarily getting hit with earlier in the fight. And, of course, right there, and, of course, with 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the third round, Deen hits Walid with the right hand of God, sends him to the canvas, and of course sends him into the shadow realm because you already know Walid got back up and was not himself there for a moment. Now, of course, there was a little controversy around him being turned around, the ref telling him to turn around, all that stuff, but as the rules state, if you do not turn around and give your full undivided attention to the ref to show him that you are okay to continue the fight is off and it's done. So, okay, that's the recap of fight number one. But these fighters have come a long way since then. So let's go ahead and dive into the next time we see them in the ring together, which is actually in a tag team match that just happened here on a Misfits card. Now, both these fighters came in strong, of course, not happy to be fighting alongside one another, but one thing was for sure, Walid had a little bit stronger fight overall than Deen. But wait, that's not the full picture. Deen actually came into this fight with some injuries that caused him to be a little bit more lackluster and not necessarily perform at the full Deen caliber that we know he can be. So while this is a fight and it did happen and it's the only other fight that we have with both of them in the same spot at the same time, it's not a good gauge of where these two are. I will say this, the one thing I really enjoyed from Walid is his pressure forward mentality. I know it was a tag team match. I know that he could kind of be winded and tag in and out. It wasn't that big of a deal. At the same time, he was definitely more confident in the ring in that moment, whether it was he was confident against his opponents, he didn't feel like they had the power to knock him out, or maybe he's just become a more confident fighter overall. That's the Walid that needs to show up if he wants to take out Deen. Now, of course, post-announcement, the smack talk begins. Of course, Deen has got a lot going on in his personal life that has led to some concerns of whether or not that's going to affect him in his camp. And of course, Walid is going to take full advantage of that. So with Walid leaning into some of the drama that Deen is facing, and of course, Deen leaning into Walid's sister, we may see some fireworks in the lead up to this fight, and I just can't wait for it at all. If I'm going to give any score to this fight ahead of the actual open workouts and everything else, I'm going to have to go ahead and give speed to Walid, power to Deen, and technique at a similar pace for both of these guys. That's what makes this fight so exciting. There's no clear-cut winner either way. This is very much so a 50-50 fight, and who wants it more on the night? Well, my heart says it's Deen. Part of my head is kind of saying Walid. That's what makes this truly one of the most exciting fights of the night, and definitely one that I'm going to be watching closely. That's going to be it. Make sure to drop a like on the video, and of course, check me out on X/Twitter. All the content gets posted there as well as here on the Panda Boxing channel. But that's going to be it. Thank you so much, and until next time, take it easy.